the mindset that a double duty agent needs to have to be successful in this business?
You have to like it. It's not a job. It's a career, and I enjoyed it. Now, did I get frustrated? If anyone, I'll be the first, and I need my time, and I might vent or whatever, and I'll put a smiling face and do whatever. But I think it became for me. It was fun.
Hi, I'm Carla Higgins, and this is the Double Duty Agent Podcast. I am so glad you're here. Each week, we get together and we explore the stories of successful double duty real estate agents. And from their stories, you can find the solutions to overcoming your challenges and the keys to unlocking your success. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Welcome. I am here and I am so excited. I have Bryan Williams with me today. Bryan, welcome.
Well, thank you, thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on, and I am excited to hear your story because I don't know it, which is very
Right.
fun for me. So why don't we start at the beginning? You have an origin story, like not the birth beginning. Like let's
No.
start with real estate beginning.
Well, my parents both had careers. My dad was a pharmacologist, Lily. My mom was a teacher. She decided to stay home with us, and so they got the real estate license. She got her real estate license. My dad always had his. My dad went straight and got the broker's license by taking the test. You knew how to take the class back then in the 60s. So I grew up in a house where this was just a side gig for them. So they were both, mom really wasn't dual career, I guess you'd say. And they were a team before there was a team in the 70s. So I grew up with it. So I thought about it. And then college came, and it's like, I guess I'm supposed to get my real estate license. So as I graduated college, I had my
Legacy.
real estate license. So there was no like light bulb that went off other than this is what our family did. And so I got my real estate license. And so I thought I'm going to dive in and do this while I look for a job. And so, 6 months later, I had a full-time job after graduating college, or 5 months, I guess it'd be 5 months. And just started my dual career. So, I'm in 32nd year of real estate.
32nd year real estate. Okay, so your dual career. What was your double duty? What was your other job?
Well, I've had a vast number. So you don't know this story. So my first job, I was a probation officer, but I was actually a pre-sentence investigator, which means I did a background on anybody by state statute, and anybody convicted of a felony had to have a pre-sentence investigation. And I wrote a recommendation to a judge for sentencing. Now, mind you, I'd never been in a room, and now I'm going to tell the judge, here's my recommendation to sentence them. I'm like, what am I interviewing for? But anyway, did that for about a year, transitioned into juvenile probation, into juvenile intake, won't go into all that stuff. So I was a probation officer. We worked 410s. So I had 3 days a week to
Take this
do
week off.
everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my degree is in criminal justice too. I never did anything with it, but apparently it's applicable in all kinds of things.
Well, I had a business background, never, like I said, never been to courtroom. I had business law was the closest. And I'm like, you really, I'm
Oh,
really
okay. When you said
a
you were a
little
probation officer, I just figured you were one of us that went and got a
yeah.
criminal justice degree.
No. And so then I transitioned from there. Became a sales manager for a staffing company because I always wanted to be in sales. And then left there and went to AT&T, and then spent the rest of my time in telecom.
Okay. So 32 years in real estate. How many of those years were double duty?
24, 6, 26, 25, 26.
Oh, wow.
That is correct. Yes.
So a long time. Okay. So tell me about your real estate journey while you were dual career. Let's start there. How did that work for you? So you said when you were in the probation department, you worked 4 days, had 3 days off. So did you just work on your 3 days off in real estate and your 4 days, or how did you work out your schedule?
Well, it was, most of the time, nights and or evenings, people work. So a lot of people are buying or working. So, I found that was the busiest time. So it worked out well. I was at a small town. It was a Realty World franchise, but it was, a small town. We varied from 4 to 7 agents at the time. The owners were kind of my mentor, and so they kind of helped out. We had an admin, but we got to remember when I started, there were just transitioning. There was still MLS books. There were no lock boxes. You went and picked up keys. I'm old school, so I've been around and seen a lot of transition through the years. So, that's it worked, and it was not. We didn't have social media. We didn't have any of that to market. So it was word of mouth, friends and family, the newspaper, the little Homes
Magazines.
magazine you picked up at the checkout at the grocery store. And so, I always said if I sold 3 houses, I paid my fees and made some fun money. And, after 30 some years, even in that, you start getting referrals and repeat clients. And then it started growing. And, the MLS online came, and then we had lock boxes and everything transitioned. So it always worked because I felt like nights and weekends were when most people wanted to look at a home. So
It works out really well, doesn't it, for most people with their schedule? Because when their clients wanna conduct business is usually when they're not working, so that works really well. I have a question, I'm just curious.
uh
So when the transition was happening to go from, let's say, paper to the online MLS, was there a big resistance in the industry around that?
yes and no. I was young enough that I was embracing it, and it was exactly what happens now that you saw. It was a generational thing.
Yeah. That's what
So
I wondered, if it was
yeah,
like the old school realtors was like, "No, this is how it's always been. We want it to stay this way."
they wanted carbon paper. It was 4 press hard, sign here. It was 4 copies, and that was the way it was. So it
And
was.
then sheer panic with lock boxes because that meant we were out of business because apparently that's all we were was just lockbox or key holders, right?
Oh, totally. And fax machines. And I mean, again, not generational. I know they're going to say that about me at some point, but fax machines were confusing, and they were getting jammed, and they couldn't do it, and they're hand delivering and driving, and it was very much a generational thing. So it's the same thing we experience now, but
I expected that was the case. I think it's
mhm,
human condition, right? This resistance to change.
mhm.
So okay, well, on that theme of change, so what was it that had you consider real estate staying as a double duty and not when you're making those job switches didn't have you go, I think I'll just do real estate instead.
um I think it was just benefits and money. Like it was never, it was, I'm trying to think when it kind of, the reality hit. One of my lenders came up and said, "You do you realize you're doing more production and more business than some full timer?"
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay. And, but that first few, it was just extra, and it was friends and family, and I enjoyed it. And I'm in real estate, so I bought a house as soon as I got my job, and it needed work, and it was before flipping was flipping. I didn't know, but I enjoyed it. It was, what I did. And so what's a real estate agent do? You put a sign up. Well, I was in and out of my first house in 9 months and made some money. And then I'm like, what do I want to do? I'll do this again. I couldn't find anything.
Mhm.
And I hated living at home. I had to move back home. And so it took a while to find. And then I got another good one that was a little overwhelming as far as what I need to do to it, but it was fun and a great house. And so I don't know. It's just I enjoyed houses. I previewed everything I could see. That was always my thing. I like working with buyers. I felt like I had the listings as well because they turned into buyers, but I was probably more of a buyer agent because, like I said, my time allowed more buyers. Listing, you needed more time during the day. So,
Okay, so more buyers, you're buyer heavy and you've mentioned word of mouth, so lots of people just referring business to you. Is there any strategy that you had about getting the word out so that people would refer business to you? How did they find out?
it's a good question. I thought about that back, I don't know. There wasn't really any purposeful strategy other than want to make sure it was in the Homes magazine, like I said, at the grocery, making sure we looked at newspaper or ads, talking to people. I mean, it was just networking. I do come from a small town. Family was very entrenched. I mean, my great grandfather built the city hall and the library, and so there was a long line of, people. We knew people, and so it was just that was a good thing.
Okay, small town living. I come from a small town too. I know that
Mhm.
everybody knows your business. You don't have to share it.
Yeah,
I was always convinced. I could never understand it. I would leave school and I would get home and my mom would know something that had happened and I hadn't even got a chance to tell her yet. I'm like, how did the news get here before me?
100%.
Yes, small town living. Okay. So any listeners out there living in the small town are laughing now because they know they grew up in that as well.
Right.
All right. So Brian, at what point did you decide after 20 some years that you were transitioning? What caused that change for you?
I didn't decide, to be
You didn't
perfectly honest.
decide.
No. AT&T came in one day and wiped out 27% of my division in one day. And they're like, hey, you have a phenomenal review. You've always backed up your boss. You can go wherever you want in the company. And, you have glowing, but we are knocking out most of your division in my job title. So my job title was totally gone. I was 5 years from retirement. And the problem was it was a bloodbath that day. Every division was on hiring freeze. I was blessed to have a good job. I was blessed to be making the money I was making. And at a level, the problem was they were taking that upper middle management out. So at the end of the time, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm done. I got a great severance. So I'm done. I'm
You're
not
done.
looking.
The universe decided it was time.
So yeah, I did not make that decision, and so it was scary because, like I said, I was very blessed with a very high income and benefits and all that, and had two houses at the time. And what are you going to do? My side gig, I was making what my sister was as a first year teacher, so real estate was good to me,
Yeah.
but it wasn't what I was used to.
Okay. So what'd you
So
do about it? So you decide you just jump in and then what'd you do?
I decided I wanted to do a team. I wanted a team for a long time because as a dual career, I saw the benefit. I
Leverage.
saw
Yeah.
and like our leverage solutions of stuff, like I would be the biggest advocate for that because I knew I could offload some of the day-to-day tasks that would allow me to continue with my full-time job and still service my clients. So I'm like, I need a team. I want to grow a team. I saw that. So I switched companies. Um, I Dennis, I look back and I thank him over and over. I don't know how many times I blew him off, or I saw his number and rolled my eyes, like, who is this guy calling?
Just Dennis
Um,
O'Brien, you're talking about
yes,
Dennis
Dennis
O'Brien?
O'Brien was
Okay.
calling.
Dennis O'Brien listeners, you'd have to go back. I don't know the episode number off the top of my head, but I'll put that in the show notes so you can meet Dennis if you haven't already. Okay. He's not easy
Yeah.
to blow
So
off.
no. So I was in
No.
Florida and he called and I'm like, look, I'm on vacation. What? He's like, well, talk to me when you get back. And anyway, I'm like, I knew I had to embrace this. And he called and we talked, and Keller Williams, the package just it seemed too good to be true. What he was selling. I'm in sales, he's in sales. And I called Michelle Chandler, who now is my business partner, but at the time, and I said, hey, this guy's calling and he's calling, and is this legit? She said, yep. She goes, let me call you back. So unbeknownst to me, they called and said, meet us at 3. And so the next day at 3, I went in and it was all legit. And I signed, walked back into the company I worked for and said, hey, we need to talk. And she goes, well, I'm busy. And I said, well, can we at least go to dinner? And she said, yeah. She goes, you're leaving, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, okay, we'll go to dinner. And I'm closing a referral from her today. We talk every day. I left on good terms. It was the best transition I could. So that was a good thing. And I've never looked back. So it was the force getting into real estate and knowing I had to have something behind me and trying to find a team. So then the next thing was get a team. And Michelle said, okay, there's this new guy. He's coming out of IU and he wants to take his real estate license, and why don't you talk to him? And that was Gannon Myers. So Gannon comes out, and met him in the lobby, and just young kid out of college, and he said, okay. I said, okay, well, let's start this team, and I'm going to start a team, and I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to try this. And so we're doing this, and we're going, we're doing what we can do and making this work. And Michelle and I were in the same office, and I said, we work well together. What would that look like? What can we do? So she was kind of transitioning in that team as well. There were some things going on. So we decided, let's go. So that's kind of the journey. It was kind of a have to and an opportunity all rolled into one, and the timing. So I'd say 7 months after joining KW and starting my team and paying for signs and websites, I transitioned to joining Michelle with the Sheila and Michelle team. So it was opportunity and the life change all rolled into one at the
I
same
love
time.
it. It sounds like stars aligning, right?
Yeah, there you go.
AT&T makes a decision and you just fall into the next thing and you have an amazing opportunity, and the people that you're leaving embrace it as an amazing opportunity, and you get
Hmm.
to stay in relationship with them. It sounds like it was all designed to be.
Yes, it was. It really
All
was.
right. Designed to be. Okay. So have things changed now that you're on a team? Do you now have something that you do to have people know that you're in real estate, or is it still just small town?
No, I mean, we have, we're 8 agent team, and we have agents in the Indy metro area outside of the small town. We've embraced social media, we've embraced video, we kind of have our niche. So totally embrace something different, and but it's all about being real. Like, I think if you watch our videos as opposed to others, I mean, I can think of one agent that they're phenomenal. I mean, the production work they do, and the music and the everything they do is amazing. Ours are raw. You're going to see us, you're going to hear us talk about it, you're going to meet us as we are. If we trip going up the stairs, and we laugh, if we can't get the door open or it slams behind us, it's real. And that's what everybody says is, you guys are real. We have fun, we love it, we do it. And so our only thing we say is, we never go back and watch it. We don't want to hear ourselves talk. We don't want to see the mess ups. We don't want any of that. So
That that's excellent advice, Brian. There is
yeah,
your gold bar today, right?
yeah,
Do videos and don't watch them,
don't
because
watch
if
them.
you watch them, you will completely talk yourself out of the next one for over and
Right.
over and over again. So that's great advice. And I'm so glad you mentioned social media, because I'm thinking back on all of the episodes that we've had so far, and nobody has really hammered this home. And I think for a double duty agent, that has a full time job or another commitment that is keeping them away from real estate as much as they'd like to, social media is leverage. Right. That is the way
100%.
for you to get in front of people on a regular basis. So, Brian, can you give me a little bit of overview of what your social media strategy looks like for the team, other than obviously doing real, authentic videos? Is there,
So when I talk about those videos, those are the houses and our properties, but we're trying to do a better job, and we all know it. It's just life and busy. Is You need to have a good balance between personal and business. They need to be able to relate to you. They need to see you as a human being, as somebody they can relate to. We go out to eat, and again, it's a small town, so people, and they talk to us like they know us.
your local celebrities?
Yeah. And, oh, I love that house you were at, or, oh, how's business? I have no idea who they are. But I
Their
think
future
because,
clients is who they are.
yeah, you're being authentic, being real, being authentic. Don't just be a robot and put the real estate, show some real, show the dog, show, Michelle's famous for her funny stuff. And, if you want to laugh, go back and look at her page on some of the stuff. And I still go back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, some of the really funny stuff, if I want a good belly laugh, and all that, because she's just real. I mean, she just shows it, and it's hard to put yourself out there. It really is. We watched Gannon today. Michelle and I couldn't go, and he was at a listing, and he did the tour by himself, and I was really proud of him. And I said, he's come a long way. And I didn't mean that they start out bad. we all didn't know what we were doing. None of us did. And I never look at my videos, let alone the first few. And he did a great job. But, I guess it's as much social media as it is just ethical, being that person that you'd want to do business with, that you would want to, I was looking back on repeat clients, and I have one client that's a good friend, as close to family in a way as friends could be. And, I looked, and I have 27 deals from that one person.
Wow,
Of
that's
his
awesome. No
personal,
wonder he's your friend. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
um, his personal purchases, his coworkers, they're all just 1 degree left. I mean, it's not, well, I take it back. There was one of his close friends sent me a coworker. And then another one, I got invited to some clients' kids' birthday. Well, they referred the husband's coworkers, all the coworkers. So he was in a military unit and did all that. So I kind of got to know the whole military unit, and they were Homeland Security. Actually, it was
Whoa.
really cool to hear what they did. But anyway, to the one of the kids' birthday parties, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I'll go because that's all who they run around with. I was the only non-family member there,
They consider you
and
family.
which was very, blessing. But there was over 10 referrals from them, and that was nice. But and again, I'm not saying I do everything right. Believe me, we could do another podcast on where I goof up and still need
On
to
all the
learn.
things that went wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I can, but I think it's just doing the right thing. At the end of the day, you can lay your head down and know you did the right thing, and it pays off. It's the marathon. It's taken me 30 some years to get the 27 referrals.
Well,
It's
it's a relationship, right? Just
Mhm,
continuing that relationship. If we
mhm,
stop focusing on this as a sales business and we focused on it as a relationship business, and my job every day is just to build and grow relationships, the rest of it'll just happen, right? If we
right.
focus on the right thing, what we want to come from it will come naturally. And also referrals. That's amazing because that's like that transference of trust, right? No
Mhm.
like and trust. And they say, here, this is my person. Then that you just automatically get that no like and trust. You don't have to go out and build it. Now it's yours to lose, but you get to have that. Um,
Well, of that 27, I just closed last week one of those people's sixth deal with me.
oh wow.
So, bought, sold, bought, sold, bought, sold. And so it does, and it is more, like family and stuff. And so it's a good career. It's a
We
great
hear
career.
that realtor for life. That's really what it is, right? You're becoming
Hmm.
part of their circle, part of their family. You get invited to parties, you get to do all those things. But that doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's the point that you're making, right? You're 30 years in, 10 years in almost as a full-time agent, and you're still cashing checks that you wrote 10 years ago
Right.
because sometimes it just takes a minute. And I think people have a tendency, I think human nature is that we have a tendency to want things right now. And then Amazon has absolutely like one upped us on that. Now we expect it. If we order it today, it should be on our porch tonight. Right.
That's right.
So we don't have that patience, but this is a long-term business, right? We're going to
Right.
be in this for the
Totally.
long term. Is there anything else other social media? I know that's a really big thing for you guys. Is there anything else that you do to get the word out that you're available to help and to find new clients?
Start small. I mean, Facebook's easy, but Facebook's also generational. My age comes out when I don't use some of the newer, I'm not on Snapchat or whatever. Excuse me, but start small. We have a brand new agent. She was gonna asking about open houses, and I referred to, she's gonna go with the next open house certification, but she wanted to do those. And so she picked up an open house from somebody in our office, and I saw it on social media. She did a little video, and she had the sign-in sheet, and she had water bottles, and she had some other stuff, and did this little tour. And so I called to say, great job, and she goes, I only had 2 people, and no, 3 people, I think it was 3 people. And I said, I did one this weekend too, and I had 0. So take it as a win. But I go, the win was you put it out there on social media.
Yeah.
Not everybody buys a house right now, right then. You planted a seed this past weekend, and don't forget that seed, you don't know when it'll come to fruition, but just embrace what you're doing, take a baby step at a time. And, that's the only advice I can really, not the only, but the advice about that in social
Best
media.
advice. Do what you can do today and then build on it and then build on it and build on it. It's the way we build something over time. If we try to build it all of a sudden, it likely isn't going to last.
Right.
Likely isn't going to last. All right, Bryan. Well, I love this. We usually like to, on this podcast, we need to focus in on, or I like to focus in on choices. So can you think of some choices that you've made along the way in your career that has led you to where you are right now?
Um, I think managing my time. I remember when I was first starting, and it was actually a dual career person that was a teacher and sold insurance, like life insurance on the side. And I dove in on every single appointment. Didn't matter. I would cancel family, do whatever. You're not going to miss it. And he said, you have to block out your time. And if they can't respect that and reschedule with you and go with you and do all that. So I think there's some choices. I think you've got to take care of yourself in there. Now, you have to spend a lot of time, like we've said over and over, I'm a dead horse. A lot of this took 30 years. Now, my income 15 years ago was still, like I said, I was with some full-time people. I was making as much on my second job as my sister was working full-time as a teacher. I couldn't do that. I could not be in a classroom with those. But I was blessed to have the business that I did as a part-time job. But what I'm saying is it's not something overnight. And I was still jumping, but I have now put the time in to where I can make choices. So understand that it's taken me 30 years to make those choices, but also respect yourself on the front end. Don't let them railroad you. Do time blocking. You've taught classes on that in the past, and understand where you want to focus. Farm at one community. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
One bite at a
Yeah.
time and consistently, because you have to chew it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to chew that elephant, you're going to chew an awful long time. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be consistent with that. I love that time. Anytime you tell a coach that the best choice to make is to block your time, you make the coach's day. All right,
And I'm
actions.
terrible at it, but I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm terrible at it. But
Well, we're all a work in progress, Bryan. It's
that's right.
okay. All right. So the next one is actions. And I know we talked about social media. Do you have an idea how frequent you post on social media as a team? Do you have a guideline for that?
We don't have I mean, we say our target is to have that mix. We'd like a 50-50 mix, and we're not good. That's our target.
Okay, 50-50,
We're
meaning 50% business, 50% personal,
right.
getting to
And,
know you.
even on the team stuff, we're like, we need to do better of taking video and pictures at lunch, or, volunteering or different things. And you get in the moment and you're busy and all
Forget.
that.
Mhm.
I can't tell you a number, and I should, and we should, but I'm not a micromanager. We do but we're posting 2 to 3 to 4 times a day, if
A
not more.
day. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of days. So at
Um,
least every day.
at least every day we're
At
doing
least every
something.
day would be a good small step to start with.
Right. We
Okay.
did I got a closing here in a few, but so I'll try to get a picture of that and I think my buyer will be the one that'll be okay with that. But we've already posted a tour today of a new listing coming. If we do a closing today, we'll probably start in on our open house marketing, probably tomorrow or Thursday. So yeah, we have something every day.
Very good. All right, mindset. It's the big one, right? What is the mindset that a double duty agent needs to have to be successful in this business?
You have to like it. It's not a job. It's a career, and I enjoyed it. Now, did I get frustrated? If anyone, I'll be the first, and I need my time, and I might vent or whatever, and I'll put a smiling face and do whatever. But I think it became, for me, it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And so I think mindset is, you gotta take the job out and embrace what your niche is. If whether it's going to be new construction buyers, there's agents in here said the other day they will give all their buyers away. Give me a referral. I don't like them. Do your sellers. Figure out if you want to farm this neighborhood. I met a lady at church when I moved to the north side of India. I'd lived in this neighborhood, and this lady was farming it, and I'd seen that name forever and ever. I'll be, postcard. Oh, thanks, trash. Postcard,
Yeah.
yep, trash. All that. And finally, I met her at church, and she and her husband became great friends. And I said, I felt like I knew you before I knew you, and it was 20 seconds before it went in the trash.
Yeah.
But she did a good job of farming that neighborhood.
Consistency.
And I remembered her name.
Yeah. Yeah. Consistency. I love it. Okay. All right. Bryan, if I have listeners who have clients who are moving to Indiana and they're looking for a referral partner, where would you like them to? When should they think of you? What areas do you like to work in?
Well, we're broad. So I'm the director of sales for our team. But I'm still a producing agent. So I probably travel the most of everybody because I love this. So I was in Kokomo last week. Rode off
Oh
in
my
Kokomo.
goodness.
And I've done a lot in Brownsburg. One client, I've done a lot for them in Brownsburg, which then spurred other clients. I travel everywhere. But as far as a team, we do have an agent that is in Brownsburg we have a downtown Indian Woodruff Place. We have a Southport Homecroft agent. We have our Martinsville agents. Ann and I probably do the majority of the Monroe County. So the Bloomington board and all that.
Bloomington. Okay.
Gannon just listed one, and we had one in North Vernon down southern Indiana.
Okay.
He sold
Way
one
down
in
south.
Lafayette. Michelle went on a Fort Wayne listing the other day because we're a member of multiple boards. So, our target is central, but, I don't want to be thinking of the Martinsville that because I will partner. Our philosophy, a lot of things is when you get one, you get two, at least you get the whole team, but you get two. So we try to pair two up, especially with my time as spread, Michelle's time. We try to give those to a couple other people. So, hey, I'm looking for anything in that Metro Indy area. And I've gone east. I have a lady that I've sold several rentals over in Newcastle. And so we've done a lot of business. I've done a lot, not a lot, but sold her at least two. I've done 2 or 3 in Terre Haute this past year. So we go everywhere.
So what I'm hearing is if they have somebody moving to Indiana, they should just call you and you'll figure
That's
it out.
right.
You'll figure it out.
We are it.
All right, Bryan. I'm going to put your information and your team's information in the show notes, including your social media, so people can check out what you guys are doing on social media. I am so glad that we were able to get this scheduled, and I got to hear your story finally. So inspiring, and that makes you kind of, what do they call that? Long in the tooth or something.
Yeah. Isn't it scary? When people ask, and it's 30 some years, it's kind of hard to. Yeah, but it's fun. It's been a journey. And so, hey, I've ridden many storms and many hills and all this in transition from paper to computers to lock boxes to digital to, we didn't have texting when I started. And
texting, we didn't have cell phones.
Yes. Well, it's a bag phone. I think I might have had a bag phone when I started.
Did you have a bag phone in real estate?
Yeah.
Oh, very funny. A brick.
Yeah.
Hey, times change, but here, just to finish up, change is good, right? Can you imagine if we were still doing it that way?
No.
No fun, no fun. All right. Well, Bryan, thank you very much. And I hope you have a very smooth closing.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Bryan, thank you so much. There is so much here that we can unpack, and I've identified the keys to success from Bryan's story. So you can try out these keys to see if they help you unlock your success. So like always, we're going to start with the choices that Bryan made. And we start with embracing change. Bryan chose to embrace the technological advances in real estate that have occurred since he got his real estate license, such as the transition from paper to digital systems. Can you imagine that? Understanding and adapting to the new tools was essential for staying relevant and staying ahead of the curve. Here's the thing about change. It happens. So you have two choices. You can embrace the change
or you can resist the change. And if you embrace the change, you will end up at the head of the pack, just like Bryan did. And if you resist the change, well, the change will always win. So that's something for you to consider. Where is there change in your world right now that you are resisting? And if you embrace that change, what might happen? How might that move you forward? So something to consider. All right, the second choice, keys to success choices, is prioritizing time management. And you hear this again and again because it is not only the most important thing for a double duty real estate agent, it is the most important thing for any successful person to be successful. They are going to need to prioritize time management. Early on, Bryan made this a crucial decision to block out his time effectively so that he could counterbalance his dual career real estate by setting clear boundaries and managing his schedule. Right? We have to manage our schedule. It requires a little bit of discipline, and sometimes the discipline is difficult, but if we work at it every day and we just get a little bit better day in and day out, eventually it will become easy and not difficult anymore. So prioritizing your time management is a key to success. The last one on my list today from Bryan's story is building relationships. Oh my gosh, we heard how he got invited to a birthday party. And when he got there, he realized that he was the only non-family member because he had been their realtor for life. He had been so much a part of their world that they considered him family. So Bryan decided to focus on building and maintaining relationships with his clients to be that forever agent. Lifetime agent. And that led to long-term success and so many referrals. A referral-based business is the easy one, right? You want people calling you and asking you to help them instead of you finding people who need your help. Now, it's going to take you a little bit of time to get to that because you have to continually be talking to people and asking. You may have heard this from me before, but there's a magic question if you want referrals. It's simply, who do you know that might need my help with real estate this year? And if you ask that question to every person you come in contact with every day, you will have a thriving business in no time. All right. So Bryan highlighted for us the importance of trust and consistency in the real estate business and relationships, right? Consistency in relationships. This is a relationship business. You can be a transactional real estate agent and you're always going to be chasing that next sale, but you can be a relationship-based agent. And if you're a relationship-based agent, you won't have to chase anyone. You just won't have to. All right, keys to success are actions today. Leveraging social media. Bryan talked a lot about him and his team and how they are committed to using social media. It's a powerful leverage tool. And you have to post consistently. He talked about this. And you have to have authenticity. You have to post in a way that lets people know who you are. And Bryan even mentioned a 50-50 post ratio. So 50% personal and 50% business. Nobody wants to see all business. They will stop following you if it's all business. That does not help them get to know you. And remember, in this business, you need to be known, liked, and trusted. So known, liked, and trusted. So you're going to connect with potential clients and maintain a presence in the community, but you need to do that with authenticity. And don't be afraid to be funny. Don't be afraid to be human. Right? I heard somebody say this once. They were talking to people who were film writers for movies or sitcoms or television dramas, something like that. And they asked them, how is it that you can get a character to be immediately not liked by the audience and by the viewers? And the answer was, make them perfect. People don't like perfect. They don't like perfection. It makes them feel bad about themselves. So no perfection, just be authentic and be human and embrace whatever comes your way. I was doing a video once and I slid all the way down a muddy hill and just kept right on recording, and it was kind of messy, but it was funny. And I got great reviews or responses on that, a lot of engagement, and a lot of people talked to me about it. You know, they left me messages, which was conversations. And Yeah, nobody thought that that was a bad thing. They thought that that was funny, or they wanted to make sure I was okay first before they thought it was funny. Or maybe they thought it was funny, then they wanted to make sure I was okay, and then they thought it was funny again. Nonetheless, I was fine and it was funny. All right. And then consider joining a team. So Brian talked about when he decided to transition from a dual career status, double duty, into real estate full time, he realized that a team was going to be a really good fit for him. And what he ended up doing was partnering with an existing team, another agent, and became the leader of that team. And so here's the thing about teams, it's leverage for you. And if you can find a team in your market center or brokerage that works with double duty, dual career agents, that might be a really good fit for you, because then you're going to have support and leverage while you are at work. So, recognizing his need for support, Brian transitioned from solo work to forming and growing a real estate team, allowing him to offer better service. So he's offering better service for his clients, and then also expanding his business reach. So that's something you could consider exploring as a team. And then a third key to success on actions is networking and community engagement. So Brian, he told us how he actively engages in networking, and he leverages his small town connections and participation in local events. And that creates that word of mouth marketing, and then also establishing a really solid reputation. So, do you live in a small town? If you live in a small town, you may have an advantage. If you live in a larger town, a big town, can you identify a small niche community within your bigger town that would be just like being in a small town where everyone knows everyone? Kind of like Cheers, right? Where everyone knows your name. But that is the beauty of being in a small town. All right, keys to success, mindset shifts. From job to career, Brian shifted his mindset from viewing real estate as just a side job to embracing it as a fulfilling career, which allowed him to fully commit and find joy in the process. Now, you can be double duty and still consider real estate a career. You are building a business. I ask this of agents often when they're brand new. I ask them, how many of you own a business? And it's amazing that they don't realize that when you get your real estate license, you are a business owner. But I want you to think about not considering this gig work. This is a profession. This isn't a gig work. This is something that requires skills and training and a license. So, not a side gig, not a side job. So, embrace it as a career, and that will help you find success. All right, mindset shifts again, adopting a long term perspective. Brian talked to us about how he learned to appreciate the long-term nature of real estate success, understanding that consistency and patience would lead to enduring relationships and steady growth. We live in a society of immediate gratification, and unfortunately, most things don't come quickly. Most things aren't immediate. And so we have got to change the way we look at that and embrace this long term perspective. What we do today is our business 90 days from now, only if we are consistent every day between now and 90 days. If we just did something today and expected it to give us a paycheck in 90 days, well, that's not going to work out. So we have to be 90 days of consistency before we're going to see the fruits of our labor. And then the last mindset shift today is embracing authenticity. We talked about this a little bit with social media. Brian adopted a mindset of being authentic and real in his interactions, particularly in social media and with his client relationships. And that resonated with his audience and his clients, setting him apart in the crowded market space that we're in. Most everybody knows another real estate agent besides you. In fact, most of the people that you have in your database also may be in someone else's database. So the difference between them working with you and someone else is that know, like, and trust. And you are not going to develop a know, like, and trust relationship with someone without being your authentic self. So don't be afraid. Don't think that you have to be someone that you're not. I know a lot of times we have imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is a real thing. I completely understand. I've suffered from it myself. If you go back to episode 1, I tell you all about it. However, you need to realize that you got your real estate license. You have an expertise. You may not know it all. You may not know everything that there is to know, but you know more than everyone else. So just be yourself, be authentic, and seek to help people. Don't think of it as selling, think of it as service, and then just authentically serve. So that's wrapping us up for today. Join us again next week, and we have Miss Jennifer DeLong with us. She is not only a double duty agent, a real estate agent, a hairdresser, and she is also a stand-up comedian. So we will have a lot of fun next week. Until then, keep pushing forward towards your goals and have an amazing week. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're leaving inspired and you found a key or two you're going to try out this week to see how they help you to unlock your success. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single story. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me at doubledutypodcast.com. That link is also in the show notes. Until next time, have a productive week.